Hello and welcome to Dave's Delightful Dishes. And as always, I'm Dave, and it is such a delight to have you here today for a very special request. I've had lots of people ask me how I make my potato pancakes. And with it being the holiday season and Hanukkah being upon us, I said, why not? Let me share the secrets. Let's check it out. Now, I warn you in advance, this is a recipe that I do and I've done for decades, and I don't do it with measurements. I do it by how it looks. So I'm going to make sure I'm doing everything where you're able to look at what I'm doing while I do it, so you can get an idea of what it should look like when you try it. But, if it doesn't come out exactly right, you can adjust the flour. You can always add more or add less. But we're going to use these very small amount of ingredients right here. And we'll get it going. So let's get started. The first thing we're gonna have to do is a food processor. See you over there. Okay, so every food processor is a little bit different. This one happens to be a KitchenAid, so I have it set on the shred function. And I used to grate this stuff by hand, and then I realized, wait a minute, I have a food processor. And I have Yukon gold potatoes, and I leave them skin on. I just cut them in half so they'll fit into the slot. Get a couple in there. There we go. And it's just that easy. So you get a couple through. Works a little better if I have the other piece in there. And then I'm going to put an onion through too. I've got 1 onion and 8 potatoes. And you just process all this stuff through, and it's gonna have nice shreds. All right, so now that we have got this shredded, I'm gonna put it into a tea towel because I just want to get some of the moisture out of this stuff. And remember, if you've washed your hands, you can touch your food. So just make sure you're washing your hands before you start cooking. So I gather this up, and then I'll squeeze some moisture out. There might not be that much. It all depends, but look at that. You don't have to get it all out, but that's a bunch of extra moisture that we don't need there. All right. Now that it's stopped drizzling out of the bag, I'm going to place that into a bowl, a mixing bowl even. And now we're going to have to get some ingredients. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 eggs and crack them in. And give them a little bit of mix to get things started here. And sometimes you end up picking a bowl that's just a little bit too small. If I were you, I'd want to go a little bigger than this. And then I'm going to take some flour. And I'm just sprinkling some on. And I'm going to get to mixing. And I usually use between 1/4 and 1/2 cup if I had to guess. But since I do it by eyeball, I'm not 100% sure. But what we're looking for is complete coverage here. All right, that was just a little bit more than 1/4 cup there. And you can see it's starting to bind together. But I'm going to need just a little bit more. But we're going to let this hydrate a little bit first. And I'm going to put in a heavy pinch of salt and then 1 more heavy pinch of salt. So that's like 2 pinches of salt. We'll call it a teaspoon, teaspoon and a half. Always add it later, but the salt isn't as critical inside the latke. It's more what you're going to put on top of the latke after that. But as you can see, this is now blending together real nice. Perfect. So let me get a little bit more flour, and then we're going to get this ready for the refrigerator. Okay, as you can see, there is flour coating pretty much all the potatoes, and they are nice and sticky. So we're going to put a lid on this and put it in the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes. And then I'll get back to you when it's time to fry. All right, 30 minutes have elapsed, and as you can see, it is like a congealed mass. The flour has hydrated, it pulled more moisture out of the potatoes, and this is ready to become a pancake. I want to do one more thing, which I do right before I put them in, is I'm going to put some fresh cracked pepper on there and give that a stir around to kind of spread it through. There we go. A little bit more. But if you don't want pepper in there, that's really something you can skip. All right, so now we're gonna head over to the stovetop where I'm heating up some oil in a cast iron pan. All right, so the oil's up to temperature, and one of the ways that you can check that is to take a piece of the material, and if it does that, then it's ready to go. Or you can use one of these babies. So what I gotta do is take a spoonful, and I place it down and give it a pat to make a pancake. And I got a nice big pan, so I'm going to set a couple of them out. Whoa! And try not to get yourself to burn the house down. So there's 3 right there, and we got to let these go till they're brown around the edges, and then we'll give them a flip. Okay, so these guys are just about ready to flip. But one of the things you got to watch out for is, trying to keep the oil at a high temperature. So right now it's dropped down to 322 degrees. So I, use some flame management, and I up the heat underneath to get it to stay up. We don't want to have it get too low and then it stops hard frying, because if the oil is too low, you're going to end up with soggy latkes. Let's see how those are nicely brown. And I'm going to cook them all the way through, and then they'll come off to a plate with some paper towel on it so they can wick the oil off. All right, so we're nice and golden brown and ready. And oh my goodness, these smell wonderful. So you take them off and put them here to wick off the oil. And just like that, we have latkes to die for. I do love a potato pancake. So these are good with applesauce. They're good with sour cream. They're a great side for just about any meal. I like doing them with beef. I like doing them with chicken. Heck, I like them for breakfast. So now that you know how to make them my way, you probably aren't going to try anyone else's, because everywhere I go where I make these, they go, oh my goodness, and then they don't want any other type. But let me tell you, they're pretty delightful. Give this one a try. If there's any recipe I've ever said, give it a try, give this one a try. And I hope you enjoy it. Happy holidays, Happy New Year if I don't see you before then. And please, if you haven't already, hit like and subscribe, and let me know what you think about this recipe or any of the other ones. Links are provided inside the description. I'll see you all later at the next recipe.